The off season is fully upon us now, people, and we only have to wait 100 and something more days till the regular season for the NRL 2026. And us as Warriors fans, we can't wait. So that's why I'm here breaking down the NRL draw for the Warriors in 2026. I'm going to look at it, analyze it, deep dive it, see how it compares to other draws we've had, and potentially really break down where we're going to finish off. We break it down in detail. We'll do all those steps. Where we will finish, that's a real interesting one I have in place. And can we make the finals? Well, I think there's a higher possibility that this draw is favourable. And if we maintain standards, look, we went 23 was amazing, one of the best years in the Warriors' history, in my opinion. 24 was a drop off. Webby, the boys picked it back up. The fresh renewedness with youth. 25. Does it drop back down again? Does it go in cycles or does it maintain now? Now that you've gotten kind of out with the old and now in with the new, do those standards maintain? We'll have to wait and see. But let's go week for week as we break down this draw. If we are here for the first time, please like and subscribe for more New Zealand Warriors content here at Wise Up TV. First 5 rounds here is absolutely a really, really good start. Roosters at home on a Friday night. That 8 p.m. slot, as you'll notice, is quite popular with the Warriors. It seems to suit as the NRL has their TV deal for a 6 p.m. slot. So, getting crowds at 6 p.m. in Sydney isn't the easiest. So why not do it in New Zealand at 8 p.m. And hey, they sell outs, they're blockbusters. They do well over here in New Zealand. And we get 2 of them. Roosters at home, then Raiders. Roosters, we've had a bit of success in recent years. Again, it's definitely an earlier game we play in the year. Quite consistently, actually, over the past few years, we've either played them away or at home in the early rounds. Definitely winnable game. Starting off with a bang. I go back to 24, though, when we played the Sharks at home that first round. We did lose that. There is some hype sometimes for the first game of the season. So it could be hit or miss. Raiders, though, at home. Now we know the Raiders are legit. We got to approach it that way. We had a good battle with them at home last year. It was like finals intensity, in my opinion. Those are 2 good, tough, physical battles. We know both forward packs will be physical, so we will get to know our forward pack quite early. Then you go away to the Knights, which is always a tough trip away. Not an easy one there, but definitely winnable. Tigers back at home. That feels winnable as well on a Friday night. And then the Sharks away, which has been a happy hunting ground over the last 3 years under Webby. So you've got a good feeling in those first 5 rounds. You can do a decent job there. Not saying you'll win both Roosters and Canberra. You very much could. I'd say maybe you lose one there. Early stuff, dusting the cobwebs out. Every team will have their errors in them. But then you got some nice ones there with the Knights, Tigers, and potentially Sharks. But again, they could be banana skin games where you take things too lightly and you're starting off in a bit of a hole. But from what it looks like, it looks pretty good. Then you've got the tough one. And this is the main one that always gives me what I want to know about how we're going to track as a season. If we beat the Storm, I always feel confident that we will. The problem is we haven't beaten the Storm in almost 10 plus years. It used to be a happy hunting ground to go away. It just never seems to be that good. Now they've lost Pappenhausen, Nas, Ali Katoa to that horrible HIA issue that they had in the Pac Champs. It seems like there's a little bit of light at the tunnel, but never take the Storm lightly. They will always find a way against the Warriors, and it's something that I want to overcome as a fan and hope that they do this year coming up. Titans at home. Again, banana skin. We know how it's been with Titans under Dez, but with a new coach there, maybe our fortunes change. Maybe a little bit different play style that actually suits us. Then you got the Dolphins at home. I believe that is the Anzac game in Wellington. So shout out to all the Wellies fans. They get that opportunity to go to that one. Then you got the Eels away, who I think are trending upwards under Riles. So that will not be an easy beat. They got Jonah Pezzett coming in. They've got a few changes. Now they've got Lomax leaving. So again, R360, we don't know how R360 is going to impact these teams, but it's definitely there. And then we hit our first bye. That's a good little first stint, isn't it? Good 10 rounds, 9 rounds of games. If you do a good jump number there, then you get a break. I thought that we did really, really well last year. We smashed out all of our games early. And once that first couple of buys came through, everything looked really, really good. So that's another good little stint with some tough ones there, but it can be done. But for me, the big focus and the litmus test, the barometer for how things are going, can you beat the Storm away? It's a tough ask, but it's something I'm dying for as a fan, as a Warriors fan. Then rounds 11 to 15, things get a little bit harder. You got Sunday, 4 p.m. Broncos. That is a home game technically, but it's at Magic Round. There'll be a ton of Broncos fans there. There'll be a ton of Warriors fans. We've had quite a bit of success at Magic in the past few years with our fan base really getting involved. So I imagine that's going to be a sellout part of the game. That crowd will be massive when how the Broncos are going at the moment. But it is a home game, unfortunately. We have to ride with that. Dragons away. Never easy. Always tough. I expect us to struggle there. Then Panthers at Combank is another tough slog. So it's a little bit of a tough three week window there. Technically all the way in Australia. Do the club go and come back, come back? You're probably expecting with a bit of fatigue starting to set in the middle of the season there might be a few L's there. But you do get your second bye. That's hopefully when you can regroup. And then you attack the Sharks on a Saturday, 7:30 p.m. at home. Really kind of tricky kind of games there. Again, I expect these teams, we caught, the Panthers, we know what happened with them. The Broncos started slow on the match. Do they maintain standards? The other teams that have been struggling, like the Dragons, actually pick up a little bit and become more competitive? And do we see ourselves fighting in more closer games? We did really well to win the close games. We weren't a high-scoring team. Do other teams find more points? And if we don't improve in that space, are we kind of a step behind? That's going to be one of the big questions I have. But again, that's going to be a tough period to go away from Mount Smart, and you're going to be away for maybe 3 to 4 weeks before you get home. It is what it is, unfortunately, but will be a tough ask. Then you come home to the Cowboys on a Sunday 4 p.m., which is fantastic. Love me a Sunday footy game at home. We've done very well against the Cowboys in the last 3 years under Webby, so I have no issues with how he matches up against Peyton. Then we go away to the Dolphins. Saturday 3 p.m. game. Dolphins are hard away. High point scoring game usually. At Suncorp, that will be a big, big match. Then we have our bye. Now, from there on, it is a very, kind of, you're going to have to really make sure you're fit. You've got enough troops to get you through. This is the part of the season where you start to hit New South Wales Cup players coming through all the time. Injuries of either long-term injuries have set in and all those things. But you do have the Tigers away, which is a winnable game. Although Benji's doing some good things there and maybe they become a bit tougher. Likewise, Dragons at home. They can pick up a little bit. Depends on how things are going. But at this point in the season, and from what I've seen under Webby, things start to get a bit tougher. We usually lack a bit of legs in that last part of the season. Now, if we're going to stick with the CNKs and the Dallin Watene-Zelezniaks, that's when the errors start to pile up. That's when things start to really get a bit more iffy. We start to see a bit more rookies coming through. But then again, the likes of Dimitri and Lecker have a year under their belt. You got the EITs, you got the Tennis-Style Smiths. Maybe you got a few more coming through. And then they're not so much rookies anymore. They're actually a solid group that can do the job that's needed to kind of get us through. But depth will be started to be tested around that part of the season. Then you got some really tough games. The Bulldogs away, never easy. Serraldo has been difficult to beat the last couple of years. Webby's struggled to overcome the Bulldogs with their play style. I imagine they'll be up for it with another year with Galvin and the likes and their recruits. They'll be, pushing hard at that time. Same with Titans away. We've had some success there recently, but they are still a bogey team to beat. We won't talk about 2024, what happened there. Then Friday, 8 p.m., Panthers are home. That's when the Panthers are really starting to hit their straps usually. Ivan's got them up and ready to go. Then we play Broncos again at Suncorp, although this time it's an away game. Are they pushing at that time of season for a massive run into the finals? That's where these games start to get a little bit dicey. And then for us, it's really kind of, do we maintain standards and can we keep going? By that stage, we're asking ourselves, is Luke Metcalf fully healthy? Is, Roger Tuivasa-Sheck breaking down? Is Chance breaking down? Are these injuries getting too much? Did we miss out on some recruitment? Those are the questions start to get really hard. Rabbitohs late in the piece. We've done well against the Rabbitohs lately. Will Bennett have them up by that stage? A lot of questions to be asked. But for me, I want us to have a stronger push towards that back end of the season. But those are tough games. Panthers and Broncos, playoffs, finalists. It's a really tough slog. Then you finish off with the Knights, which at home, we've had success against the Knights at home, and the Sea Eagles at home, which is a very, very winnable game. Those two games may be very, very important in terms of placement and where we sit on the ladder. Do we end up in fourth because we beat those two? Do we end up maybe just making the 8 because we won those last 2 games at home? 2 games at home like that to bookend your season, very important. They can build the momentum for you to get into the finals, which would be, again, 3 out of 4 seasons with Webby making the finals, which would be huge. Now, let's just compare seasons previous. 2023, we came in fourth with a 16-8 record. We had a home record of 8-4 and an away record of 8-4. That was probably one of the best years I've seen in terms of just consistency, home and away. And we've done really well to get to that 16-8. 16-8 is always a great kind of number to show that you've been quite consistent through the year. And I thought that season was absolutely amazing in terms from an attacking sense, the style of play, the structure we saw out of the team. It was beautiful to see. 24 was the dip year. It was a bad, bad year. It went back to the Warriors of old, and a lot of questions got asked of Webby. We know what that led to. And it was kind of, again, you're looking at it as it was a year that you thought we can really push on, but it ended up being a year where we started to transition into the younger players and started to look at the older players and say, it's time to move on. And we did get some retirements from Tohu, from SJ, and some departures like Jazz, and eventually Dylan in 25. But then 2025 came around and we finished 6th, 14-10, which is, that's still a solid finish line. Number 7-5, 7-5 away, which is pretty good. You're probably saying, hey, we want 2 more wins. One, you want to get to that 8-4 figure to really solidify yourself in 4th or to be a top team in the playoffs. But nonetheless, with all the changes, the losses we've had, the development of a Luke Metcalf, I think that is a fair number. 7-5. Yes, we finished kind of poorly towards the end of the season. A lot of losses. And it didn't help to build any momentum to go into the finals. And fair enough, we got knocked out by Penrith. They decided to kind of sit back a little bit and hold back. And then that paid off for them. They made as far as I could believe. But unfortunately, we drew them and we couldn't get any further. But where does that leave us for this season? We've looked at some recruits. We've got Alofiana, Khan Pereira. Those are branches. There's nothing impacting for me the roots. The roots in terms for me is the forward pack. Have we bolstered it enough? We're putting a lot of pressure back on Mitch Barnett and Fish to be the engine room, to hold the middle. Is the card depth coming through enough to kind of progress us through? We'll have to wait and see. But we have gotten the Morgan Gannon as well. Then again, teams are kind of stabilizing now with Perth coming in, PNG coming in. You're trying to hold on to your talent. So maybe there's not much player movement happening, although there is. R360, what hand does it have to play in taking the superstars out of the teams? Like a Payne Haas, like other players. Now Pappenhausen's gone. Does that make the draw even better for us? Because teams are getting weaker and we have maintained We got a Luke Metcalf who's ready to come back in April. We've got good halves covered to get us through until that point. There is some parts of the field I have concern with. I've already brought that up postseason about Chance, about Dallin, and that we should move into a new direction. But then again, we haven't done massive overhaul in terms of really improving. Does that make us stay the same, or do we see now with our depth of youth and development that they really lift and take us to another level? I can't see a Fisher Harris or some of the vets. Aaron, if he can go another level again, that would be insane. I expect him to kind of maintain his levels. The back row options, Lecker, maybe a little bit of uptick for him, although he's been through a lot of footy this year. So it will have to be really wait and see who develops, who grows, and who really shines over the off season and comes in and we hit the ground running. But this is what I have so far for what I predict will be. I think we'll get to 7th this season with 13 wins and 11 losses. I think we'll get 7 and 5 again at home. And I think away we will get 6 and 7. That's still an admirable season, in my opinion. I do think the draw is a little bit favourable for us. There's some good ones there. I would have loved maybe a bye later on in the season, say around round 24, 23, to give you that little boost and saying, hey, we got everyone, as much people back as injured as possible. This is the team we're rolling out. Pretty much from week 19 to 27, you're rolling out who you've got available and maybe, filtering in some guys that have been injured, coming back in. But again, this looks like a team that needs to start strong like they did last year. And then when you hit that middle part of the season where it gets a bit tiring, you have to find a way, and this is one of my struggles with Webby and part of him where I question him. The boys are starting to get tired around weeks 17, 18. And then that last slog from 19 to 27 isn't the best. It hasn't been for the last 3 years. Can that change? Can we actually pick up sometimes like other teams like the Broncos did, like the Panthers did? Can we actually pick up a bit more and push into that final series with some momentum to kind of elevate ourselves into, say, a prelim, grand final, or say it here, but those are some of the things I'm asking myself and I'm asking of Webby. The players that he has, they do tire. In saying that, though, the New South Wales Cup team absolutely killed it, won their first premiership. So there's not to say that there isn't enough depth or players that can fill in. Maybe the quality level isn't good enough. But I would ask the question again of Webby, can you rest and rotate a little bit more? The likes of a Wade Egan, who doesn't always play a full season, the likes of some other players, they do look like they need a break at times. Can you burn the candle on both ends? I don't think you can at times. But in saying that, Dimitri, Lecker and the like, another year under their belt, who's not to say that they'll lift and become that next level of stars for the Warriors and really progress us and push us on. With another settled halves pairing of CHT and Metcalf, who's to say that they can't move on? Does a Jet Cleary just absolutely blow out of the park and find himself in a Rookie of the Year situation similar to SJ? I doubt it, but you might find some gems over the off season. Let me know what you guys think. Is this a good draw? Where do you see us finishing? I'd like to hear from you guys. But before we leave, please hit that like and subscribe to Wires Up TV for more New Zealand Warriors content. We'll catch you on the flip side. Peace.